Welcome back to the NPR Performance Pod. And this week, why are you laughing at me already? We've just started.
It's a hell of an intro.
It was a strong and hard intro that's going to ruin the mic sound. But anyway, this is the sports roundup, where we're just going to quickly, 4 minutes, Andrew, 5 minutes, we're going to chat to the audience and tell them what sports just happened, what sports has come up, because I'll tell you why. I've realized, Andrew, let's get into it, that back in the day, every TV had Super Sport, and now it's too expensive. I'll bleep that out. But so now we don't know. I don't know what's on. Like you told me, sadly, about some exciting events coming up that I wasn't aware of. So that's what the segment is. Short video where people can go, oh yeah, I love darts. I'm gonna watch the World Cup this weekend. Anyway.
Yeah, so you can either look back or we can look forward.
Let's do both.
Okay, so let's start with back. Let's look backwards first. Sure, what a great weekend. I mean, I think if anybody watched that tennis final, the Roland Garros final, I mean, it was 5.5 hours of some of the most amazing tennis. But again, because we're talking about sport performance, the thing that got to me was you just look at those guys and you see the amazing conditioning that they had to last 5.5 hours. It's not like a team sport where I suppose in team sports you can hide or you can have relative breaks. You know, in that sort of scenario, it's a one-on-one and you focused all the time. And certainly from a physical point of view, but also from a mental point of view. I mean, I started out the game supporting Alcaraz, and somewhere along in the middle of it, I changed. And you realize,
Traitor.
Yeah, possibly. But I just thought, to me, it was sad that somebody needed to win or lose that game. I just looked at it from a physical perspective, and I thought those are the most amazing athletes who are superbly conditioned.
That's very long, eh?
It's a long time. I think, though, the thing that amazes me the most was just their mental aptitude. Alcaraz came down. I think he had 3 match points against him, and he didn't crumble. He didn't fail. He didn't choke. You know, he had the ability and the mindset to play each point at its value, and ended up winning. Fantastic.
What is if you think about tennis, we've spoken about training and how, like in rugby, we might be training wrong in terms of if we're training 20 scrums at practice and there's only 5 scrums in the day, that's not smart. How does a tennis player train for a 5.5 hour tennis match? They're not doing cardio for 5.5 hours to match that intensity. What do they do?
No, you're right. They don't do that. But what they do is they train consistently and they train hard over long periods of time. And funnily enough, there was actually something that I saw the other day about Novak Djokovic's day, like what his day looks like. And his training will start at about 11 o'clock. And he's busy doing different types of training from sort of 11, 12 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Really?
Some of it is based on recovery, some of it is tennis-based, some of it is strength-based, some of it is mobility-based.
Wow.
And I think it's that variety that I think allows them to train that much. But again, that's what I said. It's just, to spend 5.5 hours on a tennis court is amazing. Absolutely an amazing achievement.
Well done to those gentlemen. That is amazing.
Yeah,
congrats.
Fantastic. So that was the one. Then you got another event, totally different. Then you look at the Comrades Marathon and you look at that and you look at these poor individuals. And I have to say, poor individuals, I mean, I just don't know how you spend 12 hours on a road.
It's
going from
madness.
Point A to point B, just crazy. But again, you look at the back end, and to me, there are 2 different races there. You look at the guys that are winning, and you realize those guys that were winning were probably running 3:30, 3:35 a kilometer. And they did that for 90 Ks. I don't know when last you drove between Pietermaritzburg and Durban. It's not flat.
No.
And those hills are severe. They're aggressive hills. And they average 3:30 okay. I just find that absolutely mind-blowing.
I'm more of a sprint and power kind of athlete. I don't understand how to be that mentally tough. And you playing modest, you do flipping Ironmans and stuff. You have that mindset.
Well, I have it, but certainly not at that pace. And so I think that's probably where I appreciate that sort of pace over that amount of time, probably more than somebody that's never done it, because I know the effort that's required to be able to do that. And those are the runners at the front. Then you've got the runners at the back who are just putting one foot in front of the other for 12 hours, 11.5 hours. It's a different race. It's a different achievement. But nevertheless, I mean, I found this weekend incredibly interesting on those fronts. I thought both were just phenomenal.
And such different sports to what we watch on the weekly.
Yeah.
There was also just a little bit of a touch into the schoolboy rugby. We had an upset, I would say. I think Weinberg taking Roundup on and clapping them at the end.
Well, yeah, I don't know if clap would be the word that I'd use.
They just like a light little hiding, just at the end.
And I think in the southern suburbs, a win or a loss by 1 point or 2 points, you don't really matter. Then no one looks at the second person or the person that loses. But I think it was a brilliant game of rugby.
It was so good.
The conditions lent itself towards some good rugby, and certainly, I don't think either side could really complain about winning or losing that game. It was a fair game of rugby. I think it exposed some brilliant games, some brilliant sportsmanship, some brilliant skill levels. Yeah, it was just a phenomenal game of rugby. And I suppose, like in the tennis, there just had to be a winner and a loser. And this time it just didn't happen to be in Ronderbosch's favour.
The grit Weinberg showed at the end, because I don't know if you saw, right at the end, the whistle was about to go and Weinberg held them up over the try line. So it was so close. This episode of the NPR Performance Pod is proudly powered by ETA College. What is ETA College, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. It is the Exercise Teachers Academy. And they have campuses all around the country. In any region you are in, you will have access to ETA. If you are a student and you are interested in studying or getting into the career of anything to do with sport, it is the place for you. You can go and get your higher certificate, you can get your diploma, you can become a personal trainer, you can even get your degree. So if you want to be on the field, if you want to be behind the scenes, if you want to become a sports manager and manage one of the world's top sports teams, it is the place for you. Please do check it out. Info in the link below. ETA, making the world just a better place. Amazing. Let's look forward.
So looking forward,
what a weekend coming up.
Yeah. Which one do you want to raise, Brad?
Being the expert at cricket as you are, training all of our Proteas. Tell us about the cricket. You're close with it.
It's a very interesting thing. I mean, all the players that World Test final is on the go, and it started yesterday. They're coming out, all the cricketers worldwide are coming out of this T20 scenario where they're used to sort of the smash and grab cricket, and all of a sudden you go back into, the true nature of cricket, which is what 5-day test, or actually this is a 6-day test, is going to allow. So I think there's a massive change mentally and physically.
I've got my hand up. It's a 6-day test.
Well, they have to have a result.
Okay.
Because you have to have results in this game because it's a one-off.
Oh.
So it's a test match like no other, whereas most test matches are played within a series and you can draw a test match after 5 days. This one won't allow for that. So at some stage there's going to be a winner and loser. I think on yesterday's performance, I don't think the game will go past 4 days. I just think it's going to end relatively soon, probably within 3 days, which I think will be a shame. But I think, it's a difficult time. Yesterday the ball started to swing like crazy. So I think from a physical perspective, these players are coming out of an Indian environment because the IPL is just finished and most of these players have been playing IPL cricket. So the conditions that they've been exposed to, the types of training that they've been exposed to are totally different to what they're experiencing in London, in England at the moment. So I think there's a massive difference there. The type of ball that they're using a Duke ball, which inherently swings a little bit more than the normal Kookaburra ball. It's different for the batsmen and for the bowlers. The conditions, I don't know, yesterday on the TV, they spoke a lot about the angle. There's a slope at Lords, and it's quite interesting. Your fielding position changes. The batsmen were commenting that they feel different. The bowlers were commenting is that as you get into your stride and into your run-up, it just feels slightly different. You just feel a little bit off kilter. So I think it's going to be the team that adapts to that quickest that will be successful in this game.
And you don't believe it's going to be us?
That's not what I'm saying, Brad. I've learned not to predispose anything in cricket. The game needs to flow a little bit more. I think as the game goes on, it'll be 1 or 2 major performances will, I think, swing the game either for or against us. And I think in these instances, we need the senior players to be able to stand up. And I think it'll depend on which senior players in which team stand up more than the other.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And then we got the URC Final.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Come on, Bulls.
Yeah, come on, Bulls. I think it's a tough ask. I think they're coming off 2 very hard games, and they're travelling. I think what you've got to remember when you get to the sharper end of any competition, it's the travel that takes quite effect on people, as well as, you know, what your lead up and your build up is. They lost a huge player in Cameron Hanekom. You know, his injury is a massive loss to them. I think also you're traveling to an environment, to a climate that you're totally unfamiliar with. You know, if you look at what Pretoria's like, and you look at where they're going to go in Ireland, the conditions are totally different. And I think that this level that might play like a 5 or 10% increment in terms of their performance.
And Leinster haven't won in a while in a final, so
Well,
I think they're upset.
Yeah, they haven't, and also you look at the pressure that they're under. You know, look at the crowd last week in their game. There was hardly a crowd there, to be honest, for a semi-final. So I think the people of Leinster are sort of putting down their markers, and I think the players themselves will be under pressure. It's a final, and anything can happen, but
they don't know what they're ready for. They don't know what they don't know. I listened to an interview this morning with Jake White and the Bulls, and we know that we are an emotion-based nation with our sport. And when they play on the 14th, it is going to be a month since the passing of the late, great Cornell Hendricks. And they are wearing him on their jerseys, and they're going to go and...
Yeah, look, I think that's a great motivational...
Only if we win.
Motivational factor for them, but I think that'll certainly rev them up and get them to the game. But it's hard rugby, and at that level, Leinster's not an easy squad, not an easy side to play, not a particularly easy side to play in Ireland either. And yeah, their backs are also to the wall. So again, it's a great final. You would have wanted the best two teams, and I certainly do think the best two teams are in the final. So as a competition, I think it's great. You know, it's just all going to be on who has it on the day.
I can't wait. Now, for the people who are the fringe, we would say, of the sporting community, I've just brought up some fun sports that we may not know about, Andrew, that's happening this week. So let me just find it here. Let's talk about all the sport that's happening this weekend for you people who don't have SuperSport and want to watch your different sports. We've got the US Open this weekend, which is exciting for you golf people out there. It's a big one. Scheffler, McIlroy, Chambeau, they're all there. It's the FIFA Club World Cup. Who's ever watched that? Someone's watching it. That's exciting. We've got the World Cup of Darts that I mentioned earlier. Andrew, I know that you're a huge dart fanatic.
It's amazing how popular darts has become. If I look at my kids, they all follow these young guys that are playing darts, and there was a world champion.
I can't tell if you're being serious or if...
No,
are they really?
I am being serious. No, they love darts. They love it.
I'm blown away.
We need to do some research on darts.
Okay.
Brad, we need to try and find out what makes a good darts player.
How do they train for the darts?
I don't know.
Okay, we've got some NASCAR on around Cape Town for you Cape Town people. We've got the No Guts, No Glory boxing at Wynberg, so you can go check that out on Saturday. We got a car boot sale and rowing in Rondebosch. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
No? There you go. We've got the 3 Anchor Bay Cardio Tennis Club sessions. Look at all the stuff that's going on you don't know about because things are too expensive. We've got Africa Wrestling Alliance coming up in July. Andrew, this is I'm a huge wrestling fan, professional wrestling fan. There's a whole podcast there we're going to get into. I've got a podcast idea where I convert you into a WWE fan.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, challenge accepted. And then we've got the Youth Classic Basketball coming up.
Okay, I don't know what you're going to do with that segment.
No, that's just for you other people out there. All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Exciting sports coming up this weekend. We'll research the darts and let's talk next weekend as the URC champions. We pulled the cricket out the bag.
Yep.
And
That'd be right.
We'll talk about the World Darts champion as well.
Excellent.
Catch you next time for the NPR Performance Pod Sports Roundup show.